Let's talk a little Cavs, guys. DeAndre Hunter will make his debut for the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It is the Cavaliers' final home game before the All-Star break. Jason, what are you expecting from DeAndre Hunter tonight? And then we'll get into the start or six-man conversation. But for tonight specifically, what do you expect from the Cavs' trade deadline acquisition?
Defense. Stand and go like that.
Get your hands up.
Get your hands up. They got him for his length. Kenny was talking about that yesterday. I saw after practice. The offense will come. I don't think they're worried about the offense right now. They're worried about what he'll bring on the defensive side of the ball. It's more of a defensive acquisition than it is shooting offensive acquisition. They needed the length. They need the size, and especially against some of the bigger teams that they're going to have to tangle with. And I'm looking forward to seeing him. And I think Mike and I disagree on what his role should be. Moving forward. I mean, I don't think you put a lot of stock into tonight. He's probably going to come off the bench tonight for sure in his first game.
Yeah.
You want to ease him into things. Ultimately, I'd like to see him in the starting lineup at that 3. I think that's why I think he'd be a perfect prototypical 3 and clear up some roles for some other guys. But length, defense, and athleticism tonight, and then some shot making going forward.
Yeah, I was listening to Kenny Atkinson talk about, what DeAndre Hunter brings to the table, and they asked, how many games is it going to take him to get acclimated. He said, maybe 15. I'm like, dang, that's fast.
Well, for him, for Kenny, 15.
Right.
DeAndre, he said 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Like, before he gets to I was like, man, this is going to be great. I'm with you. I think this is brilliant, and you started him off defensively. And Kenny also said something. He said, we were really good at turning guys over in the beginning of the season. We got to about January, and we kind of took a step back. We want to reemphasize getting hands on loose balls and steals and deflections because that plays the possession game of how the Cavs can get more possessions and more shots at the basket if you're getting turnovers. I think he really drilled down on the fact that when you now have a guy that's 6'8", he also says that opens up Mobley and Allen to do more things, to take more risk and block shots and gamble. And think about it. Now you got that lineup where you got 6'8". I don't know what Evan Mobley is, 7 foot. Jared Allen 6'11", all defensive guys. And look, was he a lockdown defender with Atlanta? No. But when he came out of college, that was his calling card, was it not, Mike?
Coming out, he was known as a defensive guy, yes.
He is excellent as an on-ball defender. He's very, very good. Little sketchy as a weak side defender. Mm-hmm. That's the scouting report I was given. But on-ball defender, he's very, very good.
And so when I watched, and I was impressed by the Celtics. Do not fall prey. The Celtics are damn good. I watched them play against the Knicks. And that game was not close most of the game. I mean, Tatum was getting what he wanted. They have a really unique roster where you look up and their main guys don't really even seem like they're balling, and then you're down by 15. So this is going to be a key acquisition. This guy's going to be able to switch on guys. And now you won't see Porzingis backing guys down. Because I don't know what they were playing when they were switching, and we have Sam Merrill or Darius Garland on Kristaps Porzingis in the mid-post.
Well, we had huge mismatches.
Yeah.
That's why the trade was made.
And so I love the defensive angle of it. I cannot wait to see this guy play with the starters.
Mike, I'm with you for tonight. I approached it. How is he going to, what do you expect from him tonight? He's going to come off the bench. There's no need to start him tonight. I don't know if you're saying that you think he's always going to come off the bench. I don't think that's the plan. Is that what you're saying? You think he's just going to be a sixth man?
Okay. I think he closes games, which is way more important than who starts.
Absolutely.
So
I don't care about the first 3 quarters.
At the end of the day, I do think when they make their best lineup, he's the 3.
Okay.
So what I'm going to say does not change that. Their best lineup will include DeAndre Hunter
as
the
3. The closing lineup, not the starting lineup. Okay, that's fair.
I actually think he kind of fits better into that sixth-man role that he was playing in Atlanta than he does with the Cavs' current starting 5 or with the core 4, and he'd replace Strus or Dean Wade or whoever's in there. For a couple of reasons. A, as good as DeAndre Hunter is, his biggest weakness may be his availability. We didn't necessarily talk about that a lot, but the dude has had a plethora of injury history. This season he's played 37 games. The Hawks have played 51 games. He wasn't there for one of them, so he's missed 15 games this season. He's played 37. He missed 15 possible.
Yeah.
The most games he's ever played in a season is 67.
Yeah.
Last year, 57, 53, 23, 63. So injuries are a bit of an issue. As the sixth man in Atlanta, he was playing the fewest minutes of his career by just about a minute. But each and every minute that he's not on the court, if he's more effective in said minutes, it limits the chances to him to get a weird freak injury.
Yeah.
And in the starting lineup with the core four, the pecking order offensively, even with DeAndre Hunter, so put him in the starting lineup for the sake of this, still goes Donovan, still goes Darius, still goes Evan, and then DeAndre's fourth. And while he was probably the second most qualified fourth offensive option in the NBA if he is in the starting five, I think he's too good to be a fourth option offensively, and I want him to be able to create.
So you want him to maximize his minutes. You want him being a second or a third option in some different rotations other than the starting five.
And
that makes perfect sense. I like that, actually.
Yeah, in the closing five, he's in there.
I'm
not saying that, but as a starting five, when you look at the shot selection that Dean Wade or Strus in particular get when they're with the starting five, it's a lot of spot-up threes. I just think DeAndre Hunter's too talented as an offensive creator to be designated to the corner as often as the fifth starter has been with the core.
I like that. I've always thought we put too much of a priority on starting lineup. Like, I don't care who starts the game.
Yeah, but
I'm not interested till the fourth quarter.
They care.
Oh, of
they say
course.
they don't, but they
no, DeAndre Hunter,
and they should because money is at stake.
Yeah.
But for this, DeAndre Hunter's already coming off the bench.
Right.
Like he bought into the six-man role in Atlanta.
Sure.
He's second right now, according to FanDuel, in six-man of the year odds.
And
it's not
as far as we know, he was okay with that. He wasn't chirping in Atlanta, was he? Or maybe he was behind the scenes, and that's why they moved him.
No.
So I think he's the perfect guy to do this with. The other thing that I would say before I'll just pass it off to you guys, because I like listening to Mike's thoughts on this. I like using him. I want him on the floor when the game is in the balance.
Yeah.
I do. Just because of the things he can do defensively. Obviously, defense is not a priority in the first, second, or third quarter. It becomes more important as the game goes on. But in the fourth quarter, look how many playoff games are won with defense in the fourth quarter.
Here's my problem with that. When you plan and when you get to the playoffs, the worst thing that you can ever let happen is let a superstar start seeing the ball go in early. If I got Max Strus on Jason Tatum and Jason Tatum gets off to a quick start and he starts seeing the ball go in the rim, then you're gonna bring in DeAndre Hunter to kind of cool him off. No. I would rather you start 1 of 5 and figure it out all the way through the game to get hot.
Yeah, but you'd admit the fourth quarter is more important than the first.
Yes, it is. But here's the thing. Also, getting off to a good start and the guy seeing the ball go through the basket is something to be said for that. I want him on Jason Tatum from day one. We'll worry about, and I want to cross match up those guys. I don't want to bring in DeAndre Hunter against the twos. I want DeAndre Hunter against the one. So when they take him out, now we can match and cross match with the defensive capabilities. The Cavs.
Well, in the fourth, each team will have their best lineup on the floor. And DeAndre Hunter will be in there.
I want all of the money. I don't want to leave no money on the table. I like Max Strus.
Are you concerned, though, about the minutes and the fragility and the...
That's
the thing.
That's the thing.
Mike proved it.
I'm scared that Darius Garland get hit in the face. He gets hit twice in the face every week. I'm scared about
He's not wrong.
I know he's not.
I get scared with Evan Mobley. His legs are so small. He look like a deer. Like he's Bambi out there. Like I'm scared about that. But I can't live in them fears. We needed a 3 forever. We have a 3.
Yeah.
We're going to start this 3. Not a shooting guard playing 3.
If Dean is healthy, I don't care what you do with DeAndre Hunter. Like, because I think Dean and DeAndre are comparable.
Yeah.
But without Dean, and Dean's been hurt so much, it's really hard to count on him. I think DeAndre needs to start because you've got to lengthen the starting lineup.
Sure.
And when you're like, Max Strus just isn't big enough. And Isaac Okoro just isn't good enough.
And they'll get you into situations where Strus or Okoro or, it's a major mismatch. Boston's great at creating that. And that's why they picked us to pieces the other night.
When, it's burned in my head. When Mike and I were we were sitting next to each other watching the Boston game, and Mike caught it right away. And he said, because Kenny likes to switch everything. Kenny Atkinson wants to switch 1 through 5. And when you do that, it's great at slowing the game down and making players go into isolation and playing one-on-one. But when you're leaving Max Strus on Porzingis.
They'll take that all day.
The first time it happened, Mike said he's going to foul out if they don't switch us. And sure enough, 3 fouls in 1 minute. And that's the teams that they're like, they didn't hide that. Kobe Altman didn't hide that when they made he was talking about when they made the trade. It was with teams like Boston in mind. This was a move made for a championship run. Yeah. You can't have Max Strus guarding Kristaps Porzingis. DeAndre Hunter can guard Kristaps Porzingis.
Yes.
So I'm with Mike. I don't think it matters. Like, he's going to close games more than likely, especially in their current situation with the injuries with Dean Wade. And Dean was so good as the starting 3 with this team. Like, I've said it all year. It looks so much better than I thought it would because of his length, because of his shot making, his 3-point shooting. He's better defensively than he gets credit for.
When it's gone.
And then when he's gone, I wrote about it after the Boston game, like, for a team with 4 stars, they really miss Dean Wade when he's not in there. Well, Hunter helps address that. So if you want to bring – and DeAndre can play the 4, like, no problem. So if you want to bring him off the bench when Dean is healthy, all right, because it looks so good with Dean in the starting lineup. But if Dean's hurt, I think you have to. Once he gets acclimated.
I should have clarified, and I'm with Jason. If Wade's out, then it changes everything because you need the size. But when I said coming off the bench, that was with the assumption that Dean's your starter.
Okay. I'll take that. Hey, I thought that was the assumption that Max Strus was going to be the starter.
I've been on Team Dean at the 3. And because I same thing with Max. That 5th starter with the core 4, and this is how it should be. This is how it should be. Just gets less opportunities to create on offense. And I think a guy like Dean Wade, who does not need the ball whatsoever and is a viable threat from the corner, is the perfect complement to the other 4 guys in the starting lineup.
Do we want to quickly address the Ben Simmons thing? Because I think it happened after our show Friday.
It did, yeah. He signed with L.A. He chose the weather over a ring.
Do we? Yeah. Which,
L.A.'s not terrible. LA's not terrible.
No, they're just not winning.
If you're solely picking on which team gives you the better chance to win a championship,
Cleveland.
I think it's here.
Yeah.
Is that a crushing loss?
No.
Is it?
No.
There's nobody else. I think we just decided Friday. There was nobody else on that list of guys.
I still like Mo Bamba. I still like him.
All right.
He ain't going. Listen, he was a lottery pick a little bit ago. He's getting 4 points a game. You need another big. I'll take that. It's not a crushing thing to me. Ben Simmons was like, listen, I'm going to use this buyout money and be right out there with these L.A. girls. That's exactly what it was.
I wanted him, but as soon as I saw the decision, I flipped to this. Well, he clearly doesn't want to win it, so I don't want him here.
He ain't
I want a guy here that said, like when Kevin Love came here, he didn't come here for the weather.
Yeah, like
he came here because he wanted to win a ring.
We need you to be on that he needs to be on the 3rd trimester of his career where he's just like, this is about it for me. Let me hang on somewhere to see if I can stay in the league. Right now, he can still get the LA off.
I was intrigued by the idea of Ben because I thought he could fill a very specific role, but it was a very minor role.
Yeah.
Right.
They might have told him.
But in the playoffs, in certain matchups, it can be a critical role.
Sure.
He could have said he wanted to be here, Jason, and they said, well, listen, ho. We got a very minimal-ski role for you, dog. Like we just want you to do X, Y, and Z.
Do we know anything as to how he made his decision?
I have not heard.
I haven't either. I just heard that's where he's going.
You don't need the Cavs to tell you that. You can just look at the roster and see that he's not going to have a very big role here.
Yeah.
No. I'll be curious to see how much he plays in LA.
The other guy we mentioned on Friday that I like, Daniel Tice, is going overseas too. So the top 2 guys on my board are off the mark.
Again,
Bamba, at least for size, would be something that the Cavs don't currently have a lot of.
We mentioned it on Friday, but ultimately, buyout guys typically do not hold big roles. Like, there's a reason that they're available. There's a reason they had no trade value. And if you're going to a contender, a lot of times it sounds better in theory than what I mean, Darren Williams was the biggest example of that to me. Sure. When they got Darren Williams, I was like, oh my God, what a steal. And then he got here and I was like, it's really not. Ain't a whole lot left.
At this point, we know who you are.
Yeah.
Wasn't Mo Williams a buyout guy? And I think he played in one of them finals games. He had a couple threes.
Mo might have been a buyout guy.
I can't remember.
I don't remember
how
now.
He came.
Mo Williams. They had Sean Marion on one of them squads. Mo Williams, Darren Williams.
When you're a championship team, though, you talk about the role being minor. At this point, you're just making small turns in a screwdriver. You don't have a hammer in your hand anymore. You're just a minor tweak here or there. Yeah. Or you might look at, okay, if Boston's your team, you have to get past. Well, then you might look at individual matchups that a player has had against one of their more prolific scorers and say, you know what, we only need him for the Boston series, and we're going to lock Tatum down with this guy.
You two guys are around the program and around them a lot more. is there something to be said? I read something about how Max Strus was kind of dealing with George Niang and Caris LeVert not being here. Is there something to be, you think long term they'll be fine, they'll get over it?
They'll be fine.
I
am not at all worried about it. Partly because, I've heard really good things about DeAndre Hunter. I don't know him at all, but I've heard nothing but good things about he's a good dude. He's going to fit right in the locker room. If you're moving out really popular guys and you're bringing in problem children, that's one thing. I think Hunter will be fine.
I've heard the same for what it's worth.
Yeah, we can talk chemistry, and it's fun to talk about. Ultimately, talent wins more than chemistry.
They're grown men. They've been in the business.
Yes.
They know these guys come and go.
Yes.
They'd rather keep the chemistry the same, but they also want to win a title.
Yeah,
and if they all think that they're better and they're have an easier path to do it now, yeah, they'll be just fine.